What's up, gentle ladies and gentlemen? So today I'm going to be ranking all of Quentin Tarantino's movies. But before I get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified of any future content. Now, I don't consider any of Tarantino's movies to be bad. In fact, I think they all range from either good to great. Even the ones at the very bottom I still really like. I don't think the guy has made a bad film, to be honest. So also just want to put a warning out there that this will contain some minor spoilers. So let's get to it. This is my personal ranking of all 9 Quentin Tarantino movies. So at number 9 is Jackie Brown. I think I watched this the first time about 10 years ago. It came out in 1998 and did fairly well critically. So I don't consider this a bad film or even an average film, but just considering what Tarantino is capable of, I think this just compels in comparison to his other movies. Just overall, I found it a little bit slow and just didn't really grasp onto the story. But saying that, I do really like the cast: Samuel L. Jackson, Robert De Niro, Pam Grier, great. But I think if I was to ever sort of decide to watch a Tarantino film, then this would be at the bottom of the list of ones to watch, I think. He does view this as a kind of a hangout film, and I think I'd maybe have to watch it again. I think if I did watch it again, I think I would appreciate it a bit more. But just overall, I find it to be one of his weakest. So at number 8 is Death Proof, which was out in 2007. It had a fairly mixed reception with audience and critics, to be fair. So I do really like this as well, even though it is low down on the list. One thing in particular is its kind of structure and pacing, and I like the fact that it's got these like two sort of distinct sections to it, where you have like different characters in each of those sections. It seems like it just has like 2 acts to it, a first and a second act. I like the fact that in both of the different acts, there are sort of different characters, but they all revolve around Kurt Russell's character, who he's playing this stuntman. It has that sort of signature Tarantino writing to it, regarding that sort of build-up in the scenes and then just suddenly something really shocking hits you in the face. So in that regard, it is a pretty entertaining movie, I think, but it is just kind of thinly plotted. Out of all his movies, this still remains one of his least ambitious. I think when this came out, fans were like, come on, man, you can do better than that. But I don't think he was necessarily aiming for this one to be up there with his sort of best. This is more of a kind of tribute and love letter to the old kind of stunt-based sort of movies. But for how simple the story is, like I said, it is pretty entertaining and it's quite well executed still. I do consider this to be a good movie, but as far as in the sort of Tarantino universe, I do think it's fair to put this near the bottom. So next up at number 7 is The Hateful Eight. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a great movie. It does remind me a lot of Reservoir Dogs with regards to how it's sort of majority of the film is sort of in this sort of contained and claustrophobic environment. And it was a nice sort of callback and reminder of one of his classic films. And the whole sort of mystery vibe to it. I think it is a pretty cool movie, and it does have some great storytelling moments. I particularly love the scene where Daisy Domergue, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, has poisoned the coffee, and then she starts to play the guitar, and then in the background you see someone about to pour and drink the coffee, and the camera sort of keeps blurring in and out of her, sort of checking behind to see if someone has drunk it. I think that is just absolute genius. I mean, it's moments like that in all of his films that make me love his film so much. I just think what the film lacked was just sort of that so cool dialogue that he usually brings, and likable characters, especially Samuel L. Jackson's, who, when he is sort of the one you're meant to be rooting for, but at one point you're not really sure if you are meant to be rooting for, because he is given this really sort of vile background, and you're just not too sure if you should be rooting for him anymore. But as usual, Tarantino brings in an amazing cast: Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Michael Madsen, and it's great to see Tim Roth back in a Tarantino film as well. So number 6 is his debut film Reservoir Dogs, out in 1992. Pretty much from here now, I have very little problems with the remainder of the films on this list. Just very like nitpicky things, but yeah. I was debating for a while whether I did prefer this to The Hateful Eight or not, but I think for now, I still prefer Reservoir Dogs over Hateful Eight. Just mainly because you do have a lot more empathy for the characters in Reservoir Dogs, and I think I prefer the dialogue, and I do prefer the structure and editing regarding how it regularly sort of cuts back and forth between the sort of past and the present. I think that just contributes to giving it better pacing. It's incredible that Reservoir Dogs is his debut film. Talk about making a great first impression. Such a solidly crafted first feature, and it is considered one of his classics. Critically and commercially well received as well. I just love how he directs this film, just the way in which he, some of the scenes where the camera is just literally just lingering on a couple of characters that are just talking, just makes it feel more immersive and just more authentic. I just love how it slowly unfolds as it goes on, and just like scene by scene the pieces of the puzzles will come together, and you finally find out what caused the heist to mess up. You actually never see the heist. It's all just kind of, the storytelling of it is more just about the aftermath and sort of flashbacks and backstory based. It's amazing. It's just Tarantino for you. Even with his first film, he is challenging the conventions of movie structure. So coming in at number 5 is his most recent flick, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I do love it. I understand that it has got a very sort of mixed reception. I think it's probably his most polarizing film to date, but certainly more critically it has done very well. I think what most people can't get past is the sort of lack of plot that it has, and how it does, in a big way, does avert your expectations, and the sort of pacing of it as well. But yeah, all those things really didn't bother me. Like I said, this is his most divisive film, probably his most original, and his most self-indulgent as well. But I don't see that as necessarily a problem. There is a lot of things I love about it: the aesthetics, the actors, the characters, the dialogue, and especially that ending. Oh my God, that ending! Wow. It has some good themes as well, like artificiality and fantasy, and sort of embracing transitioning yourself within a new world with like new ideas, and adjusting between like the old ways and the new. It is his most comedic flick, and surprisingly probably his most restrained from violence as well. Apart from the end, of course. But on the other hand, that is quite refreshing. This movie does have a lot going for it, but I think it is unfortunately going to get misunderstood by a lot of people and underappreciated. But at the same time, this has a potential to become a cult classic, I think. And potentially one of those films, I think, that will hopefully get appreciated more as time goes on. But for me, in the sort of Tarantino universe, it is, I would put it, right in the middle of the list. So we come to number 4, which is Kill Bill. So that would include both parts, as he has said himself that he does consider Volume 1 and Volume 2 to be one film. So yeah, this will be as one film. This is actually the first Tarantino movie I'd seen in the cinema. I'm surprised to say, over time, I do actually now prefer Volume 2 to Volume 1, which I never thought would happen. I think when I seen Kill Bill Volume 1, I was at the perfect age. I think I was 14, 15. I've realised that as I've got older, I've had more appreciation for the script of Volume 2. I think it is Volume 2. I think it's just better written. And the plot is much more in depth and just less linear than the first one as well. And I do also prefer the characters, because you have Bud, L. Driver, Pai Mei, and of course Bill himself. Probably my favourite segment of the volume, particularly Volume 2, is the flashback scene to where it shows her training, where it shows the bride training, and then it brings you back to the present where she's in the coffin, and you see her like punching her way out of there. I think that is just amazing storytelling. I love that bit. Those two different scenes are executed and connected together so well, and then also the fight between her and L. Driver in the caravan. Oh my God, that is so brutal. I love it. Also, as far as a ending, I think Kill Bill has my favourite. I think is the most satisfying, one of the most satisfying endings to any of Quentin Tarantino's movies. I won't spoil it, just see it. But of course, Volume 1 has the incredible showdown at the House of Blue Leaves, which is just insane, bloody fun. So we're down to the last 3. So coming in at number 3 is, of course, Pulp Fiction. Literally one of the most rewatchable films ever made. I mean, is there anyone that doesn't love or at least appreciate Pulp Fiction? Don't answer that. I am sure it's up there in at least top 5 or top 10 of a lot of people's lists. Out in 1994 and starring Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, and the sort of return to form for sort of John Travolta. This movie probably has Tarantino's finest writing, especially when it comes to the dialogue. It is just absolute golden, the dialogue in this film. Original as hell, charming, funny, a very clever interlacing of the different plots taking place as well. The restaurant scene with Uma Thurman and John Travolta, I think, just literally gave me a whole new level of appreciation for restaurant scenes in films. It's just two people talking at dinner, but it's just one of my favourite movie scenes of all time. In fact, Pulp Fiction is considered one of the greatest of all time, and it deserves to be. So down to the final 2. At number 2 is Inglourious Basterds. That opening scene with Christoph Waltz is just masterful. The first 15 minutes is just absolute classic Tarantino writing. Christoph Waltz absolutely shines in the scene, as he does throughout the runtime of this movie. He is phenomenal. I think this pretty much would have been everyone's first introduction to him as an actor. The different storylines weave together seamlessly, and it's very satisfying on the violence front as well. The part in the tavern is, again, another one of my favourites. He has said that he likes to think of himself as the sort of conductor of his audience in relation to how he tries to evoke as much emotion from you throughout the entirety of his movies, and also in sort of particular scenes as well. And that one is an absolute perfect example of that. It starts off where you're in the tavern and everyone's having a really good time playing drinking games. And then suddenly it's just all of a sudden it's just interrupted by this officer, which brings this amazing amount of tension to the scene. And you know the people in there are sort of undercover as well, so that as well makes it very compelling. And it just builds and builds and builds until suddenly it just all out hits the fan. And then in classic Tarantino style, humour then follows on from that. Absolutely love Inglourious Basterds, so yeah, it's at number 2. So by process of elimination, that can only mean one film. And it is, of course, Django Unchained. Yes, Django Unchained is my favourite Quentin Tarantino movie. Out in 2012, starring Christoph Waltz, Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio, and once again, Samuel L. Jackson. It had an all-round success, and this was the second time Christoph Waltz had won a Best Supporting Actor award in a Tarantino movie. First one, of course, being Inglourious Basterds. So, reasons this is number 1. One, just for it being a Western setting alone. It has some of my favourite set pieces that have ever been used in a Tarantino film. The fact it has Christoph Waltz and Leonardo DiCaprio being one of my favourite actors of all time. I like the sort of adventure vibe that it has. It has amazing characters, amazing actors, memorable dialogue, great violence, and a good balance of humour mixed in with that. The shootout scene with Django at the end is just absolutely jaw-dropping. The part where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Calvin Candy, is doing that long monologue on the story of Old Ben. One of my favourite movie scenes of all time, period. How Leo didn't win an award for that is just savagely baffling. The guy actually cut his hand during that scene and just carried on with it like a boss. It is a long film, but for me, you don't really feel that because it is just so entertaining throughout. And I think that's just another reason why it is my favourite. Is just the entertainment value, overall entertainment value this movie has to offer is just so consistent throughout the whole runtime. So yeah, Django Unchained is my favourite Tarantino movie. There we have it. Those are my rankings of all of his films. Would this list be similar to yours or completely different? Any particular ones on there that you actually hate? What are the ones that you love the most? Are there any on there you would maybe consider to be one of your favourites of all time? Let me know in the comments. So the latest thing I've heard is that it is rumoured he is going to be making a horror film next, which I hope that is true. He is the perfect director for the genre, and I hope he doesn't pass up that opportunity. And also Star Trek, which I really still hope that goes ahead. So yeah, I hope to do a lot more of these sort of ranking videos, and eventually I want to try and work my way through all of my sort of favourite directors of all time. But for now, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and hit that notification bell as well to be notified of any upcoming content. It's been an absolute pleasure once again. You've been watching Feature Creature, and I'll see you next time.